And welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DiRienzo. Got another great show in store for you. I'd like to welcome my guest, Tim Keating, the Executive Director of Rainforest Relief. Welcome again. Welcome back.
Thanks
to
very
Let Them
much,
Talk.
Paul.
And it's been a while since you were here, and we're going to talk
Yes.
about the same issue because not as we were just discussing, a lot hasn't moved in all these years, 6 years or whatever. And so maybe we can help get it going here in New York because the use of rainforest woods by the city of New York is a travesty, in my opinion. It's New York really tries to be at the forefront of a lot of things. Where is it on this? It's totally missing the boat.
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me on again. And it has it's been 7 years since I was here talking about this. When I was on last, it was shortly after the mayor had made an announcement in Bali that the city was going to reduce its use of tropical hardwoods. And I had spent some time with the memo that had come out with the mayor's announcement, and that was published by the his Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability. And we had a lot of problems with the memo. It's a 13-page memo that basically was polling the city agencies as to how much rainforest wood they used and what they might consider doing to change the use of rainforest wood. And then at the end, magically, they had a graph of how they would reduce, how the city overall would reduce the use of rainforest wood, and it was just three bars on the graph, and it said by 2020 they would reduce by 60%, and there was nothing really in the memo to specify how they would do that. Each of the agencies kind of put out there, well, we're going to take a look at this, we'll take a look at that, but no real plan of action. Prior to the memo having come out, New York City Parks Department had actually already committed to eliminating the use of tropical hardwoods in all the benches they were specifying, and no new boardwalks renovated with rainforest wood. So really the big reduction that the memo was citing was Parks Department. But the fact of it was that we had compelled Parks Department over a period of like 13 years to already make that commitment. So the memo was I had some issues with it. So that said, what transpired after the memo was out is that it seemed to us that the agencies took the memo as a mandate. And so we suddenly there seemed to be all this traction. We met with DOT, with the Staten Island Ferry people, and they even put out an RFP for a $10 million study to look at alternatives for docking the Staten Island Ferry that wouldn't use tropical hardwoods. And there seemed to be a lot of movement. And we were hearing from the agencies, the mayor has mandated that we no longer use rainforest wood. So we thought we had done our job in New York City, finally, after so many years. And so it's kind of frustrating after 8 years later to still see DOT really having not reduced its use of greenheart from Guyana almost at all. The study that was done by this engineering firm, $10 million study, the conclusion was do the same as what you're doing. So no change needed there. So now we see the DOT announcing that they're looking at expanding the promenade of the Brooklyn Bridge to accommodate bicyclists and pedestrians.
Yeah, I saw that in the paper the other day. Yeah. I want to go let's do a little background on this because we just had the Olympics, which was a wonderful. I love the Olympic opening, a wonderful spectacle in Brazil that brought people's attention to the rainforest and brought people's attention to. Many people said that they thought it was wonderful. It was superior to many much more expensive opening Olympic ceremonies because of that. And they had a child with a potted plant in front of every country, and all these kind of things.
And the wonderful closing with the tree, the iconic tree lifting up out of the ground, and the rain, and
Okay, so the
rainforest oriented,
oriented, and so this is a perfect time, I guess, to talk about this, right? I mean, people's minds are on it. A lot of millions of people in New York were watching the Olympics, but to find that after this tremendous effort by Brazil to bring our attention to problems in the rainforest, and the greatest rainforest is, of course, in the Amazon basin within the country of Brazil. To find out that we in New York City are doing so little, that we're, a matter of fact, one of the huge sources of demand of this wood.
Right.
Now, tell us, okay, you mentioned the Parks Department, they seem to be doing better, so we'll get to them a little later, doing much better. But what is rainforest wood? Why is it in New York City at all? And where is it going?
So, to answer the first question, what is rainforest wood? We, as an organization, wanted to make sure that we also paid attention to temperate rainforests. We actually have some here in the U.S. in the Northwest.
Rainforest.
Yeah. So when we talk about rainforest wood, we want to be clear that it's not just tropical rainforest we're talking about. It's also temperate rainforest, which in rainforest, even though the definition kind of varies from group to group, typically 150 or 200 centimeters of rainfall per year, a forest that receives that amount. And so that can be in Alaska, the west coast of Alaska or British Columbia, or it can be in the Amazon, or Hawaii, or all sorts of places all over the world, a few of which are actually temperate. And why I even bother to bring that up is because when you look at temperate rainforests, some of the largest, oldest trees on the planet grow there. And we talk about redwoods and western red cedars in British Columbia, 1,800, 2,000-year-old trees. And these are being heavily targeted as well. So we want to make sure that folks are aware that these are rainforest woods too. It's not just the tropical rainforest. But what we see New York City using, for the most part, is tropical hardwoods. And the places they get them typically are the Amazon, and that can be a couple of different woods. For the most part, the agencies have focused on Ipe and Kumaru. And unfortunately, a couple of others now have come into vogue in a couple of uses, and I'll mention that in a moment. But DOT, on the other hand, is focused on greenheart, which is coming out of Guyana, which is not part of the Amazon, but is a huge area of rainforest in South America, north of the Amazon basin. And as well, we see other agencies like MTA, i.e., that is New York City Transit Authority, using eki out of Africa. So African rainforest as well is
Why
being
do they
logged.
use rainforest wood?
Well, some of the issues have to do with perceived durability, and so when you look at greenheart, it's a very popular material in marine environments. People have assumed, or it's been studied as such, that it is more resistant to marine borers, which is an insect that kind of bores into wood under the waterline. And it's a real problem, especially since New York Harbor has gotten cleaner. Marine borers have become a greater problem. So they're really wanting to look at woods that can resist this.
Sure.
However, if one is truly wanting to look at material to resist marine borers, recycled plastic lumber is the perfect.
Why doesn't the MTA use? I thought they were putting concrete ties and not wooden ties for their subways.
Well, the MTA uses concrete outside of New York City. In New York City, concrete has only become very recently used, and I will say we're very happy to see emerging photos of the Second Avenue line and not seeing any wood track ties in those photos. So hopefully MTA has finally started to take the issue of tropical hardwood track ties for the subways to heart, and they have had a big push into sustainability, and however, what we saw earlier, maybe 5-6 years ago, with that push, they were kind of neglecting to address the track tie issue, which in my opinion is the biggest sustainability issue they have.
So it seems as if basically the wherewithal is, the will is there, but not the in other words, you get, yes, you're right. Nobody denies that you're right.
Right. Not anymore.
But they just don't do it unless you keep their feet to the fire.
Yes.
And as such, you need an activist organization.
Yes, and actually, we need help as well. We can't do this on our own. This is a huge undertaking. I mean, just to get Parks Department to switch away from tropical hardwoods, it took us a few volunteers. That's all we are. 13 years.
So how can folks get in touch with you at Rainforest Relief here?
Well, I think the best way really is to just send an email to info@rainforestrelief.org, and we will pick up that email. We will get back to the person sending the email, and we can use all the help we can get. We certainly need support financially to keep this campaign going. Right. It's been a labor of passion, and no real. We haven't had staff people all this time, and yet we've stopped more tropical hardwood use in the U.S. than any group in history. So I think we really could use folks in New York City who have sat on rainforest wood benches, ridden the subway over rainforest wood track ties, walked to the piers and the docks that are decked with rainforest wood. Please help us get the city to shift.
info@rainforestrelief.org. And we'll be back to this and discuss this further. Now, we have some photographs online, and we were wondering if maybe we could start putting them up, and we'll just talk about them and just cycle through them as we talk about them. So if the engineer has an opportunity to throw them up, we'll start talking about them. What got you involved, Tim Keating, what got you interested in stopping rainforest wood exploitation in New York City?
Well, a lot of people have asked me that question. The first time I was asked that, I actually couldn't answer it, and then so
let's go back to that earlier picture. Yeah. Right? There was one right before that. There we go.
Yeah. So here's the Brooklyn Bridge deck. This is the promenade. So the first photo is just looking up at the iconic structure, but this is all greenheart. All the wood you see in that photo actually is greenheart.
Greenheart
so the deck
is a tree, right?
It's a it's a tree, and they call the wood greenheart as well, and it's, again, coming out of Guyana. And here's the tragedy of this. Actually, when we get to the shot of the pilings, I'll mention that, but even the benches are greenheart here. If you go to the next shot,
next slide,
you see this is I think this was back in 2007, but I noticed just going over the Brooklyn Bridge this year, they also did some renovations and probably replaced about 10% of the boards. You see the color greenheart when it first goes down, and then it grays out like most woods in the outdoors. So we can go to the next one.
Okay, next slide. So now,
but I did want to say as well that the reason we're talking about here today,
let's go back to the last picture.
Yeah,
thank you.
Is now. Yep.
They're planning to increase. I just saw in the paper the other day, more than I do, they want to make it twice as big.
At least.
Everybody's saying, what a great idea, but nobody said anything about how they were going to do it.
Exactly. No one said anything about the wood.
Except
in the
here
memo,
on Let Them Talk, bro. We're here talking about it. Tim Keating, all right, go. Tell the mayor, because I think he's listening right now.
Yeah. So in the memo, DOT had said that they would be doing a full redeck in 2017. They planned on doing that. So they would look into alternatives, and hopefully by 2017 be able to not use tropical hardwoods. That was what they said in the memo. And so this estimate of reduction assumed, including DOT, not using it anymore on the Brooklyn Bridge come 2017. Now here we see this plan to expand it, and in all likelihood, if they go forward, it's going to start construction next year. So indeed, they are going to be. It's going to be a full redeck, plus 2 more areas the size of this deck.
Is this a rare wood? I mean, if these trees are cut down for this wood, they're no more, or they take forever to come back. What's the issue?
Well, greenheart is not, in particular, a rare species in Guyana. Here's the problem, though. When we talk about endangered woods, mostly what we refer to are endangered forests. We're not necessarily concerned with ipe being eliminated as a species. But the problem is the loggers going into the forest to hunt down the ipe trees. Ipe in the Amazon, in its range, occurs 1 or 2 trees per acre. And this is true of greenheart as well in Guyana. So in order to get at those ipe trees, typically what we see are the loggers will wipe out about 50% of the canopy to get at just 1 targeted tree per acre. And so those studies were done with mahogany, confirmed with ipe as well. Ipe is now the single largest wood export out of the Amazon. And so the problem is that all of these forests are considered endangered forests because each area of rainforest has unique species residing in it that live nowhere else in the world.
That's interesting. Let's go to the next picture. Thank you. Okay, where are we looking here?
We're looking down on the boardwalk from the parachute jump, actually.
From the parachute jump, so Coney Island.
Yeah.
Right, there it is.
Yeah, I'll refrain as to telling folks how we took this photo, but
oh, really? So there's some adventure here. Okay,
we did a protest, actually, hanging a banner from the parachute jump back in 1998, and that photo is from my
you like doing things like that. 2 times ago, the first time we had you on, you were locked to a gate in front of the Mexican consulate.
Well, sometimes this is what it takes.
Right. So you're an activist. You're a hands-on activist.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not like
I trained to climb just for this reason.
Okay. Good for you, Tim
So
Keating.
this is. I thought this was a good photo just to show, and this is just Coney Island. So the boardwalks of New York City are actually a total of 12 miles long, and this is just one little section
12 miles? How many trees goes into 12 miles?
We calculated that 110,000 acres of rainforest were logged to complete the renovation with rainforest wood the first time over. 110,000 acres.
So that's like, I'm trying to think, that's 10, 20, 25, 30 central parks?
Oh, at least. Many, probably something, I would say, maybe, 60 square miles or something like that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's
a big chunk in New York
City. Very large. And DOT now we found out is really a huge contributor as well.
The Department of Transportation has also taken down a lot of trees.
And we'll get to that.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. This is interesting, very interesting.
So this is actually from the first time I was on the Coney Island Boardwalk, 1994, and the ipe that you see there was put down very recently. As you see that rich
ipe
cinnamon
wood from
color.
The ipe tree that grows in
the Amazon.
In the Amazon.
Yeah, Central America down to the Amazon, but this wood that went down here in the very early 1990s was definitely coming out of Brazil. At the time, and so I just to say that this wood, which the Parks Department was told would last them, it'll last you 40 years. That very wood right there that you see, I have a photograph of the exact same area of the boardwalk in 2012. Just like they're ready to tear it up because it's so bad.
Instead of 40 years, it lasted barely 20.
13 years.
13 years.
Is what 13 we calculated. Years. Yeah.
All right. Next. Thank you.
And I think I have one in the other direction as well.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and looking down toward the aquarium there,
that's a lot of trees.
It's a lot of, and all these boards they order typically 20-foot long beams, 4-side clear, not a single knot or defect on the entire. It's basically clear. Considered clear.
So they throw out
wood.
A lot of trees that aren't.
Our calculation actually showed that only about 5% of the tree makes this grade.
So
and the ipe trees are 120 feet tall.
And only 5%.
5% of the tree will make this grade.
And so the other 95% are discarded or used for lesser purposes.
I believe often we've seen it at mills in other countries where they are shipping out this very high quality wood that they've gotten these very pricey orders for, and the rest of the wood will often sit there in the yard just rotting away.
Next, thank you. Oh my God.
You know, I threw this in here just to say, in Africa, African rainforest wood, the loggers in Africa are also, it's problematic in that they are very often, they bring hunters in with them down these logging roads into primary forest to hunt for the loggers.
And that's like bushmeat.
And then it has fomented the bushmeat trade quite a lot. A lot of people don't know about the link between logging and the bushmeat trade, but this is...
It's terrible.
Yeah,
they kill the animals, also brings illnesses like the bird flu and stuff like that. And
HIV, and a couple of other really...
don't mess with Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Next.
Ebola.
Thank you. Ebola
has come out of this situation.
Right. People going into the forest where people shouldn't be, really. And
exactly. And eating things they really shouldn't be eating, really, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is actually, this particular shot in Brussels. They also use Eckie for their subway track ties, but I also have, I think, one from New York.
Okay, next, please.
That's Brussels again. Next one.
Brussels, next. Yeah. Thank you.
Brussels again. Eckie bollards outside of a lot of the buildings.
Oh, really? That's
it's rainforest wood. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So they use it extensively in Belgium.
Yeah, and you know, Belgium has colonial ties to Cameroon.
Okay.
And so a lot of their wood is still coming out of Cameroon.
They're a big market there.
And Eckie is a popular wood.
Okay. Eckie, which is from Africa.
Yeah, West Africa. Yeah.
All right, next, please.
Just a close-up of that to give you a sense of what the Eckie looks like. Yeah.
Bollards. All right, next, please.
So this is actually Gantry State Park. That's all Ipe that you see there.
Gantry State Park, which one is that?
Yeah, that's Long Island City.
Long Island City, right on the other side.
Right on the waterfront.
Right, that's looking at Manhattan there, right?
Yeah, it's... There's one of the things that has been so incredibly frustrating, working all this time to get Parks Department off tropical hardwoods, and yet we see all these other agencies still building all this New York City infrastructure in the parks.
When you say get them off hardwoods, it seems like you need intervention.
They were addicted, definitely.
They were addicted to hardwoods.
And clearly the addiction has spread. You know, the designers love it. Look at how pretty it looks when it first goes down. They love these first initial shots.
Right, and we'll talk about some alternatives in the minutes left. Let's go to the next one, please.
Yeah. The High Line.
The High Line, that's rainforest wood. You make me cry now.
Okay, so when we first went up on the High Line, it was before it was open. We ended up getting our own view. We didn't see any wood down yet, but we had gotten word from someone within the agency, within the group, that they were looking at Ipe. We tried to stop them, but they had already apparently purchased this wood. And so the first phase was Ipe. We had a very large campaign, a lot of, hung banners, handed out a lot of flyers on the lines and whatnot. And then we met with the Friends of the High Line. They agreed to meet with us, and they decided to use reclaimed wood for phases 2 and 3, which they did do.
Oh, I see. So this is the first, but then
this
you
is
guys
phase
got
1.
through. You reached out to them.
We got through to them.
You got to them.
Yeah.
All right, great.
But a lot of the wood that you see on the phase 1, especially the amphitheater, is a ton of Ipe there.
Right. I was wondering about that wood. It seemed pretty nice.
But one of the things I wanted to mention is that the head of the Friends of the Highland at the time showed us a certificate that they had been given, that they said, well, our wood was certified, and here's the certificate. And this kind of helped reveal or confirm a real big problem for us, because the fact of the matter is that the certificate they were shown is called a chain of custody certificate, and it allows the entity that sold them the wood to sell certified wood, but the chain of custody certificate in no way says the wood they got was certified. So it's something that the buyer is completely unaware of. They see this certificate and they say, oh, the wood's certified. But the fact of the matter is they've been given something that doesn't actually necessarily mean the wood is certified. And indeed, this wood was not.
Sounds like a Trump University diploma.
Yeah, exactly.
and the new one for the Clinton family just got, I was just watching on news, some other universities, another phony. Next one, please. Thank you.
So this is New York City subway tracks. And I think I have I have a newer one in here too. I was hoping that they actually were getting away from this, but we still see them using some Eki.
Yeah, I thought they were
even
going
in the newer
concrete,
tracks.
but they're coming back with it, right?
Yeah,
and this is rainforest wood on our trains.
Correct.
On our
so
subways.
yeah, one of the things they did do, thankfully, at least in more recent years, is to shorten the ties. So now they do these short pieces instead of the full long ones, and
So
every 15 or so ties is a full one.
see.
But at least they're using less wood.
But
But however, we had even tied them once back in around 2001 to wood coming out of Liberia, and that was under Charles Taylor, and actually groups had shown that this was conflict timber. I mean, literally the monies for that were being used to buy weapons to give to groups around the region to destabilize the entire region, just like diamonds.
Maybe just like diamonds.
Yep.
Just like diamonds, right? Maybe
Yeah,
that's why
timber.
the price of the ride went up. Next, please. Conflict timber.
So this is on the G line up on, I guess, 9th Street and Smith, and you see almost brand new Eki being put down there.
Okay, next.
As well, but also concrete. So it seems to, I'm not sure the rhyme or reason here.
Right.
Why some is concrete
sure
and some is wood.
Yeah, they're the city of New York. Next, next, please.
Yeah.
They don't know themselves. It's not because they're evil. All right.
So here's the Staten Island Ferry. And every one of those round pilings you see is a greenheart tree. And greenheart trees grow just 1 or 2 per acre in the rainforest of Guyana.
That's a couple hundred acres right there.
I calculated 2,700 ties in the Staten Island Ferry. I'm sorry, 1,700 ties in just one of these racks, one of these ferry racks. And a combination of the racks, 6 full racks. So we're talking tens of thousands of ties. And some investigation we're just conducting now has suggested that somewhere around 400 truckloads a year, tractor-trailer loads of greenheart pilings coming into New York City. So 400 truckloads, that would be something in the range of 60 square miles of forest being logged every year.
Let's come back to us for the last minute. Very interesting, Tim Keating. Okay. Thank you very much for these pictures. Again, if people, Tim Keating, Rainforest Relief, how can people help?
Well, I want to make sure that people understand, first of all, we need help to go after the city. But we also we also want people to understand that their own purchases are extremely important. Get in touch with us if you're going to buy anything made of wood. If you have any questions about paper, where your paper has come from, send us an email, info@rainforestrelief.org.
All right, great. Thank you
very much.
Please
help us. Go to our Facebook page, rainforestrelief.org.
Rainforestrelief.org. Okay, thank you very much, Tim Keating.
Thank you so much.
Really great.